Continuing with my checklist, if you want to know all my checklists, then you have to do one thing. You have to search through my videos, because I must have spoken a lot about checklists, and I must have also spoken about risk. So you have to see my checklist video and my risk video, and you have to go to my blog and read about checklists on equity, risk, all those things. All put together is my risk checklist. I have not been able to put it together in one place. For example, if you've seen the Charlie Munger checklist, which I'm going to do now, he talks about risk, whereas in my checklist I don't talk about risk, because risk is something which I anyway do, right? So some of the risk parameters, some of the finance parameters, everything I've not been able to capture in one place. So that is the caveat first. And please like, subscribe, whatever, so that more people get to see it. It'd be good fun to increase the number of subscribers. So let me come to Charlie Munger's checklist. So he starts with risk, of course. Being Buffett and Charlie Munger's partner, they talk more about risk. So they first talk about you have to have a margin of safety. I also look for a margin of safety, and sometimes I got very lucky. For example, when Tata Power was beaten down to 30 rupees, why I like to talk about that transaction is to say how lucky I was rather than how smart I was. Because at 30 rupees and 29 rupees and 27 rupees, the dividend yield was just too damn attractive. It was in excess of 5%. I mean, at 30 rupees it was 5%, so at 27 another 10% down, so about 5.5%. That was huge. So that is what attracted me. Second, because a company is going out of the index is a great reason to buy, because you know some other index will pick it up. So it went out of the Sensex and it came into the MSCI. Of course, it came into the MSCI very late. Then the share price went up from when I was buying it at 30. I remember having a discussion with my broker saying we will reconsider, we'll consider selling only when it crosses 200. So on the way we acquired rather than sold, but I also sold, bought, whatever, but I retained maybe 80-90% of what I had bought at 30 bucks. And then I started looking at the charts, or rather I asked friends who will look at charts. I don't understand charts, and he said 260 is a tremendous resistance for this, it can't go up beyond that. And I sold at 258, in fact I sold at 260 also. I sold at 260, 259, 258, 257, 255. Maybe the regret is I didn't sell enough. I may have sold only about 30%, and then I saw the price come down. But I also sold at 240, 245, 235. At all prices I sold, and I was very happy with the kind of a transaction. But again, perfectly right price to buy and a very good price to sell, all within the matter of 1 year. Yes, the only bad thing is the short-term capital gains tax, but I'll live with that, right? So this I could do sheer luck. It's not that it fitted into all my parameters of risk. Yes, a regular dividend paying company, Tata Group, A Group, 5% dividend yield, it fitted into a lot of those parameters. But understand the role of luck. You have to be there, right? At 30 rupees, you have to it has to catch your attention. At 110 rupees, Coal India had to catch my attention. I did it. That's a lucky thing. And I also exited at 192 or something, and I bought back yesterday today types at 150 bucks, right? So some of those things are luck. You just be there and be done. At 150 when I bought it, and I mean when I'm recording the price about 150, I know I run the risk that it can go down further, but that does not bother me. Again, a 5% dividend yield, A Group, I am not too much worried about buying at those prices. So first of all, risk and margin of safety. So at 150 bucks, I thought Coal India has a lot of margin of safety. At 30 rupees, I thought Tata Power had a lot of margin of safety. So yes, look at margin of safety. Second, I avoid dealing with people of questionable character. Exactly what Charlie Munger says. If I know there is some problem in the character and how they present the accounts, I talk to a few people and I find that they have actually borrowed more than what they have shown, it's completely out. Again, I'm perhaps repeating this, in which I've said in other videos. If you have some 10,000 crores or 12,000 crores to invest, you invest very differently. If you have the kind of money that I have, I don't have to look at every company. I have to look at 30-40 companies in my whole life. So it is not a problem at all. I don't need too many companies to pick. When I am taking risk, I want a proper compensation. So if I buy a Zomato at 120 bucks, I want a proper compensation for the risk. I know I'm taking risk. I know I'm not taking risk on too much of my money, but I will take that kind of risk. So those kind of risks are sometimes to have fun. What does it scare me, like what Charlie Munger says, inflation and interest expenses? Yes, it scares me, because interest rates can just go out reverse and keep spiraling, and that can hurt a company very badly. So having less debt or having enough free cash flow to repay the debt in 1 or 2 years or maximum 3 years is a very, very important criteria, because interest rates are very volatile. And this is a bad time also to be talking about interest rates, because you're talking 40 years of falling interest rates, so maybe it could go up, right? So all those risks are there. Then independence, that is this is a beautiful line. Only in fairy tales are emperors told that they are naked, right? We don't see that happening in real life. We don't see it happening in politics. We don't see it happening even in homes, right? So just because somebody agrees or disagrees, it's not a reason for you to think that person is right or wrong. Then mimicking the herd is something which many people do, but the guys who really make money are the ones who go against the tide. So be careful about that. The only way to know more about a company is to work real hard on its filings and things like that. And at my stage, I have one advantage: I can speak to some analyst through somebody and reach that guy who is actually sitting on the company for at least say 2 months in a year. I look at it for 20 minutes. I can't make out whatever that guy is saying. So if I have to spend a lot of time in reading, or I know whom to call. So I know who is the person who is reading, right? That's also important. And I'm still talking of Charlie Munger. So Charlie Munger and Warren Buffett are some reading champions. Forget anything else. They're definitely the reading champions. And acknowledging that you don't know what is dawning of wisdom. You're just lucky at sometimes. Stay within your level of competence. So this I completely agree with Charlie Munger. And if it's beyond my level of competence, I ask the analyst and say, explain to me what you think. And so sometimes you get good explanation. Sometimes you realize that it is page not found. So then I stay away till I can understand. If I don't understand, I just go. Like cryptocurrencies, I have not yet tried my hand. I'm waiting for some SEBI approved NFO which will deal with crypto. I know Invesco thought about it, brought it, and then took it back. I have no clue why it happened. So I was looking forward to invest in that NFO, because somebody knows more than me about crypto is handling it. That's much better. So lack of knowledge of is a big risk that one takes. So when you talk about risk, you talk about all these risks. You talk about risk of the quality of management, quality of balance sheet, quality of business, quality of the marketplace, quality of your own understanding, quality of the analyst whom you're talking with. So you may completely miss the bus because the analyst thought it was a bad company and you didn't invest. So you have to be very worried about analysts, because analysts like to give negative opinions very quickly. Positive opinions, they take a long time, and sometimes they get carried away in the positive opinion if they have met somebody who agreed with them and bought 1 million shares. So if he's just been able to crack a deal where he went with the fund manager to the customer, or with the sales guy to the customer, and the customer said, I like this share, and he buys the share, on that day the analyst would be very, very carried away. So if you speak to the analyst on that day, you have to give it 3-4 days for that words that he uses, the choices that he makes, for all that to die. Because if you don't, you will also get carried away by his own enthu. And also if he has met the promoter, then I'm more worried, because he would have got carried away by what the promoter said. And promoters normally don't say bad things about their own company, or they say it like, I don't know why the price is moving up, and they may be perfectly knowing that they are funding that, right? So taking all this is little bit of this is my own Charlie Munger's, my own examples, etc. I'll continue to do such work on checklists, and you will have to search through the videos and through my blog, read all of it together, and if you can put it together in your head, that's great, because all this is somewhere in my head. I'm recalling, I'm not reading from somewhere. So that's it. These are all my perceptions about risk and my checklist. Don't think they're very different. They are similar. Thanks. Bye.